Okay, let's see here. There you are. Boom. Ha ha!
Boom!
Got it going on.
That's what's up.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right. Sweet. You're looking particularly sporty today.
Yeah. We're going live. Can't be looking like my Sunday best, which is normally not best. There's another one for the compilation.
Yes. Oh, man. How are you feeling about the new year so far?
I don't know. I mean, 2020 was a dumpster fire. That's established, I think. But it wasn't particularly terrible for me. So I'm just kind of like rolling with it. We're moving on to the new one. No big deal.
Okay.
I don't know. Life goes on. You know what I mean?
Hold on. Let me see if I can figure out why it's not showing my name thing here.
Huh.
Learning.
I work in tech support, and a lot of this stuff confuses me. So don't feel bad.
Okay.
There you are.
There we go. I don't know why it never. Okay. So. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been working with computers. Well, not working with computers or on computers, but I've been having computers mess up and me try to fix them before I take them to the professional guy for quite some time.
Which usually ends up making the problem worse before it's better.
Yeah, absolutely. So
behind the scenes, this is exciting.
Well, it's just, and there's really no behind the scenes. It's just like I'll give you a tour of my little office. Check it out. There we go.
Smoke City.
That's so fancy. There's my board of all the stuff that I never get done. And then okay, and back.
Ring light. There we go.
There we go. Hello.
Well, behind the scenes, I mean metaphorically rather than literally.
Absolutely. And it's just, there's
the topic du jour is actually Slizwaq himself, so this is going to be fun.
Oh. you guys can ask me whatever you want. I will answer it to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably we started this particular thing out, and it's actually been in the works for a long time. We actually started the YouTube out back in 2016.
Nice. Okay, it's been a minute.
Exactly. If you look at the freaking started date, it's back in 2016, and it's a branch off of, we actually started Facebook and a couple of Facebook groups and things like that, probably back in about 2011, simply because we owned a couple dispensaries. Well, we owned one dispensary at first, and then what we did is we wanted to have a way to put out quality information to the people that were looking for it from somebody that they could trust, and you could actually trust what they were saying. Because the internet, it's like, I don't know how Wikipedia stays in business, because you can just log on there and say whatever, and it's good to go.
That was literally my point, is that, well, my question was, what started all this? And I remember you guys owning the business back in the day. I can only imagine what kind of questions you got. And then with legalization, where do you go for your information? Because the entire marijuana industry has been suppressed and illegal for so damn long. Nobody's been doing the research. And the only way that you get the information is from the old school underground people. And there's no centralized place for that.
Well, that's the conundrum. By and large, no average American citizen wants to listen to a person that's at least a one-time felon. And unfortunately, most people in the marijuana business, and in that particular instance, I've been super lucky. Most people in the marijuana business, that's how they came by their knowledge, their decades of experience, is freaking they did it illegally. And it's really kind of something that's coming to the forefront. Most of the people that have the most experience are in some way labeled as criminals in the freaking today's modern society.
Right. Well, I mean, with legalization now you're not suddenly, which is weird. Hi, Tanya. Happy Sunday. Get excited. I normally do sourdough Sunday, but this Sunday is not sourdough Sunday. That shit takes time.
Yeah.
It's not sourdough Sunday. So that was my whole thing, was how did this all get started? But that makes sense. It's a place to centralize information. And I'm sure a lot of people know you in passing, but people don't know you.
Absolutely. And a lot of people, I got to tell you, one thing that I do love, and that's to talk a bunch of shit. But that being beside the point, I look at it like this. You know what? I've been doing I've been growing, selling, and producing marijuana and its products for a number of years.
Yeah, this is a natural progression of your time in the industry. You started out underground, and then it was for personal use, and then you went legit, you went to the business, and now it's okay. It's kind of like regular business people who start out in business, start out working grunt jobs, doing the low level work, then they move up to owning their business, and then when they have enough knowledge, then they're the people who are doing like the talking tours and stuff. This is the culmination of that.
Well, you know what though? I tell you what, and I actually did. I started at the bottom. I started at the very, 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 very bottom. And we're going to call this dude Mr. X. I started working with the dude, Mr. X. I went to him. I was out of work in 2010, 2011, when everything started going south. I was out of work, by trade. I'm a diesel mechanic. And you know what? In the area that I was in, a very popular area for freaking diesel mechanics, agricultural. I had just gotten out of the military, and I went to work for that place. And hey, you know what? All of a sudden, they said, "Hey, things ain't looking that good. We don't need as many diesel mechanics." You know what I'm saying?
Which is crazy, because on this side of the country, they can't get enough diesel mechanics.
Because
they're just cutting you out with, and this diesel mechanics is the same as the marijuana industry. There are things that you're never going to know unless you've actually been in it. And that is diesel mechanics 101. You can't get a good diesel tech out of whatever those trade schools. You get a lube tech. Yeah.
And that's what's so crazy is I transitioned from being a diesel mechanic. Now, don't get me wrong. They didn't say, "Hey, you know what? We don't need your services anymore." And then it was like, "Oh, I'm going to be in the weed business." No, there was like 10 or 12 months of applying to jobs, different places, and people don't realize, and much like right now, people don't realize is when
What's up, Felipe? We also got Ted. Ted suggested that you take a hit.
Some job is better than no job.
Yeah, well, I mean, coming out of a diesel mechanic position is not something to turn your nose up at. I mean, especially journeyman wages, you make pretty decent money. And then, of course, in the economy that it was at in 2010, 2011, everybody, you still need health insurance. I mean, you're covered being a vet, which is cool, but still, there's benefits that come with having a legit job. Absolutely. And that's not something that you just are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go not legit now." That's cool, right? Yeah, hi, Kristen.
And what was crazy is being a diesel mechanic, I didn't realize how much experience I actually had, because I went directly from being in the military. I applied to the unnamed location that I was working at right there. And I applied to them, and they were more than glad to hire me. They hired me sight unseen. And here's what's crazy. I don't think they knew that I was black.
I know they did.
And told them that I was here to work. They're like, wait, hold on. We got to check in the office.
I remember that story. Jessifer told me that story. He was like, Slizwaq showed up, and they were like, hold on. I mean, in all fairness, you don't sound like you look.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, here's my driver's license.
I don't sound like I look either. So it's just a bunch of fun shocking people left and right.
Yeah, because we had this one big boss guy, this fat piece of shit. I don't use their name. This fat piece of shit. I'm like, yeah. I talked to a couple of the cool guy managers that he had, and I was like, yeah, I'm here for the job. And when I said that, they laughed. They're like, yeah, come on in. Have a seat in here. We'll go get a seat at the And they were like, And then they were all like, then they all met in the office. They had like a mini huddle, like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy.
Which is crazy. Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
That whole of a place with the unnamed business. Par for the course.
Here's the thing. And I'm sure you've heard numerous stories about this unnamed business.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is I was trained and certified as a diesel mechanic, certified in all this shit. But the problem is they had this machine. They had this machine out back, and it was an oil water separator. And
I remember that.
They can't be in business without that thing separating all the oil from the water, for California, make sure to eat their.
And it was always malfunctioning, always.
Yes. So I transitioned from being a diesel mechanic to working 40 hours a week on this machine that they actually had in the back.
Being a janitor trying to fix their shit.
No. But I will tell you this, being a person with an inquisitive person, me and let's call him codename Jessifer. We're out back, and I was making this water pipe thing.
I remember those. All of the pipes, all of the water pipes. I remember that.
He was like alive because I was making one from this bottle that we use for chlorine tablets.
Oh shit!
And
no,
like, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, there's chlorine in that. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, if you inhale that, you're gonna die. I'm like, really? He's like, no shit.
Good old Jessifer helping the people out.
You know what I'm saying? We'd be back in the back, jamming out with some cake, making some pipes.
That is exactly how he remembers your guys' time together. That's exactly how the story goes on this end, and that is exactly how he has always described you. And then put in the PTSD. Where he's like trying to come up and talk to you, and you got your headphones on, and you can't hear him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, turn around, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a real thing, people. It's a real thing.
For some reason, it wasn't with me, which I find really funny because I'm like, I would walk up on you, but it's almost like my presence was too loud for you to like get the freak out.
But we used to have this guy that worked with us, and I'm sure you've heard about him, Mark. Big guy.
Yeah, Mark.
But he would walk super quietly all the time.
He's always quiet, and he is a very large man, like just stature-wise, large and wide.
Because his wife is the only person that I've ever known whose name was Crystal Ball.
My favorite weird person name, Spanky Tingle. I swear to God, that was her name. That is how she had you address her. She answered the phone, Spanky. This is Spanky. Fuck, dude. Spanky Tingle. What?
That would throw me off immediately. I'd be like,
And in the industry I'm in, the head guy of state, his name is legit Dick Swingley. He is in charge of everyone. And I'm like, how do you...
That's shit right there.
Dick Swingley. What?
That's great. I can't even tell you how great that is.
I love collecting weird ass names. Spanky Tingle is still one of my favorites.
That's the topper. Spanky Tingle. I don't think you're gonna.
It's a collection. It's a good collection. It's not things. It's names. That's what I collect. I collect weird ass names.
After I stopped working at the unnamed place.
The place.
Yeah. Because I'm like, after I started working at the unnamed place, and here's what's crazy. Like I said, I didn't realize how qualified I was because I had never, I was in the military for 10 years. And I had never worked a regular job.
You never had to shop yourself around before.
Exactly. So, and the way the military works is like we need someone to do that. Send them to school.
Kristen, true story. If his ween is tiny.
Yeah, they're like, I need to pay for. They're like, get your shit together. We're gonna send you to the schoolhouse, and you're gonna.
I forgot about all that training crap. That was the worst.
Oh yeah, so it's like when I got out, then I realized, because they say first thing they messed me up. I went to the unemployment office. They said, we're gonna fill out this resume. It should be 1 page long. I'm like, mine's not 1 page long because I got all this training and then the blah 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 blah. They're like, because here's the thing. The guy that was telling me my resume should be 1 page long hadn't been working for more than 2 years.
I believe it. That's not good advice. They want to. It doesn't matter how long or how short it is. They want to know your qualifications. Your qualifications are gonna be longer than 1 page if you're any kind of anything.
And it's so I got all this stuff listed, and it's like, okay. So then I started going around. I was getting these. Alexa, cancel.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah. We're hooked up to the Matrix.
Nobody asked you, Alexa, pipe down.
Exactly. Oh, this is what I like to do. This is what I'm going to start doing in my videos. Alexa, play Despacito. Alexa, cancel. So now whoever has Alexa, it should start playing that.
I have never used that technology. I don't like the idea of it. I don't know. Like, even text-to-speech annoys me.
Well, here's the thing. If the government didn't already have a tracking device in me, it would be bad. But they're already tracking me, so I might as well get on board.
They know where you are, and they know what you're doing, period.
Yeah. People always ask me, what do you do all day? Your life must be fucking super exciting. Actually, no. It's not.
A normal person would have a boring life. And I'm sure you have downtime, but you attract chaos naturally.
Yeah, there's that.
The whole bank debacle comes to mind.
Oh.
Not to bring up the bad times, but
here's the thing. I'm not a person that wants more than they're entitled to. Matter of fact, I want the bare minimum so there's enough for everybody else.
Right?
The problem I have is when people come at me like, oh, you can't get that. It's like, dude, I'm asking you for the bare minimum that I'm entitled to. What up? You don't have to.
I should not have to know banking regulations better than my bank in order for them to do their job.
Absolutely. And it's like, guys, and it's not not being snarky or anything like that, but it's like, look here. When some rando guy off the street knows what your job better than you probably want to change careers.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously entry-level positions for banks too, but when you're handling people's money, that should be at a higher standard.
And that's the quickest way to make people mad too.
Yes, mess with people's money, see what happens. That's not hard.
No matter what, you can start flipping out. They're like, hey, yesterday you had $1,000. Today you got -17. It's like,
so wrapping back around. So you and your significant other, awesome Auntie Kel, you guys got into business, and then what led to coming and starting GHST, Go Here Smoke This?
Well, I'll tell you, freaking Go Here Smoke This was probably formulated in my mind as a thing probably about 2012, 2013.
Okay, so in the middle of doing the underground pre-business, that's what you're thinking of.
Exactly, because the thing that occurred to me is, okay, here's the problem with the marijuana business. It's a blanket statement. I don't like blanket statement, but it's the best I got.
Sure, it's a generalization, but it applies in a lot of scenarios.
Yes. Sure. The thing about the marijuana business, back then, not so much now, is that there's the illegalities of it lend to not sharing the information with people. Now you can go on YouTube and be like, yeah, how do you make this marijuana gummies? And they'll tell you exactly how they do it. But the problem back then was if they told you, they'd probably be going to jail.
Right.
So the what I wasn't finding is everywhere I asked questions, nobody wanted to tell me. Not because they were being dicks. That's not the issue. But simply because they didn't want to, even if they wanted to help me, they didn't want to expose the people that they work with to law enforcement. And that's the conundrum. They can't tell you how to do something without exposing other people to arrest. And they're not really trying to be dicks. They're just trying to stay out of jail. And that's the thing that I didn't understand. I couldn't understand why. You know what? It's like, dude, I'm here doing the same shit as you. We're working with the weeds together. Why do you not want to tell me how to do the shit if you already know how to do it?
Because if you go down, then there's a possibility that they go down, and then it's a domino effect.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And I need to freaking make a centralized location where you could get information that's reliable and that you can count on, because you can find any number of places to give you advice. Any number.
Sure.
If I go online, everybody's freaking, what do they call that? Freaking, what's that lady? Everybody's Ann Landers on the fucking internet. But the thing is,
I don't know that reference.
Advice is worthwhile.
Huh. Well, even now, it's still a Wikipedia of information. It's still anybody can say whatever they want. That doesn't mean that it's right, correct, or helpful.
And the thing is, the important thing is you want to make sure that you're getting good information, but how can you? Because you're dealing with something at the end of the day that you're going to ingest. If I was making a birdhouse, I could get any number of information how to make that birdhouse. I wouldn't care. But it's because something is going into my body, I want to make sure that information's not going to kill me. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, my neighbor Lisa, she smokes and she takes CBD. She's got MS, and so more power to her. Whatever helps her get through the day. But she prefers brands that, and I guess it's kind of like a generational thing. People who are a little bit older coming into this industry, they wouldn't necessarily go to a local producer as much as they would go to, this has a label on it, this tells me what's in it, especially since she takes so much medication. She trusts labels more than she trusts, the person-to-person information, which is fair because, like you said, it's something that you're taking into your body.
And that's the thing. And luckily, at the where I'm at now in the state of Oregon, freaking every legal marijuana, every piece of legalized marijuana sold in a dispensary or wholesale or whatever is tracked and tested for mold, mildew, pesticides, and fungus.
Okay.
And that's something that is actually cutting edge, because even though in the great state of California, weed's been legal for a while,
Sure.
they still don't have that assurance that it's free from pesticide, mold, mildew, or fungus or whatever, because they don't have a statewide testing. Oregon
Weird.
has a statewide testing thing. So
Yeah.
the state doesn't test it. You send it. It has to have an independent third party testing certificate in order to be sold at any dispensary.
Okay.
Which is good and bad. It's good because it protects the consumer. I want to tell people right now that just like any other business, any other freaking entity, there are people out there that are unscrupulous.
Well,
and
yeah. The weed industry is billions and billions already illegally, let alone legally now. Yeah. You're tacking on who knows what. And then
you're making it's a big hot water vape cartridges, or you're freaking there's people out there that would do you harm. And one of the
it's a profit, it's capitalism.
Yeah, one of the things that checks and balances that in the state of Oregon is, there's people out there that want to do you harm, but we're going to require everything to be tested. So we're making them freaking at least make an attempt to ensure your safety of something that you're eating. And Oregon's actually, having come from California, Oregon has a lot of regulations, like you got to have a food handler's license and all this other stuff, which sounds kind of arduous on the surface of it. But just because I sneeze on my hands and wash them doesn't mean that everybody else sneezes on their hands and wash them. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And a certificate doesn't say that that's exactly what happens either, but at least there's some repercussions if they don't.
Absolutely. And it doesn't, don't get me wrong, it doesn't guarantee that it's perfect, but it makes it harder to freaking skirt the rules, and it also makes it, by and large, generally safer than just some guy saying, it's good.
That's really interesting. Why do you think that is prevalent for Oregon and not for somewhere like California? Because it almost seems like, I mean, at least comparably, it feels like Oregon and California have the same like political leanings, and
they do.
Why wouldn't
things that Oregon did in the beginning that California didn't and has failed to do since? And I can't really count California freaking wrong for making their laws the way that they did, because when they did it, nobody else was doing it. But I can kind of ding them for not keeping up with the current freaking staff of things, because
it doesn't seem hard to put in regulation.
Oh, well, while California has the oldest marijuana laws, they have also the most archaic, simply because, like you said, it's so hard to get stuff passed in California, and their shit's all. But anyway,
sure.
What we're talking about.
Fair.
the way that Oregon was, they rolled their marijuana inspection, quote unquote, facilities and overseeing up into their liquor commission. So
so they already had a governing body in place, and then they just added to it. So regulations weren't.
The other thing that was inspecting, making regular inspections, had some ramifications. And so what they did is they said, hey, Liquor Commission, what we're going to do is we're going to make you inspect all those weed guys with your stringent standards.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect system.
No, but it's a system.
It puts people on notice that there are actually people looking at what you're doing.
Sure.
And the great state of California, and it's actually gotten better, in the state of California, it's like the Wild West. It's like, I got a bag full of cash and I got a trunk full of weed. I'm going to drive over here and I'm going to do this. Only because with California being such a large state, marijuana being legal, it bumped it way down on the priority list. And to all those people out there that are saying, hey, Mexican cartels are jumping in on the weed. Freaking, they're trying to take over.
If anything, it's legalization is taken away from their industry.
Well, here's the thing. Weed is one of the least profitable by weight, quote unquote, illegal substances. And a pound of weed is going to run, on the low end, maybe $800. On the super high end, maybe $3,500.
But not on the street. People are going to pay those prices. They would just go to a dispensary now to get that same quality.
But if I had a kilo of cocaine, 2.2 pounds, that's about $110,000 at the current market.
Yeah, they're not going to waste their time with marijuana with all of the risk.
$1 fucking pound of weed, and plus, cocaine doesn't smell like anything. Yeah. I can pick up a plane full of 10 kilos of cocaine, 22 pounds. Okay, 22 pounds.
Which doesn't sound like. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. Yeah.
It won't smell like anything. Now, in order to get that same $1 million, I would have to have several plane loads of weed going to somewhere. And that's not going to happen.
Isn't that why they started doing illegal grows, though? Like, isn't that why you found stuff like out in the forest with like clearly migrant workers who are working it and kind of like.
Here's the thing. I think that they are actually doing that, in national forests. I'm not saying that they're not, because especially having lived in California, they're busting people all the time. And I'm not going to stereotype them, but they're busting in people that are not from the United States. Okay. Sure. Don't have any paperwork, and they're posted up here with a minimal amount of not of luxuries, but of food and water, And the problem is not them growing weed. At least my problem is not them growing weed. But the problem is them destroying natural resources. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not some type of tree-hugging hippie but the thing is, they drop a diesel generator in there, and because they're there illegally, they're just dumping shit on the ground simply because they can't dispose of it properly or they'll get caught.
Right. So,
I don't appreciate them destroying my national forest, and I don't appreciate them destroying, growing illegal weed in my national parks. But I don't think that that's their primary income. They might be growing marijuana, and I've seen this personally with some of my old, I guess the better word would be my old compatriots in the weed business in California. They might have a freaking acre of weed growing, but if that acre of weed is only growing so when the airplane flies by, it can drop off bags of cocaine and nobody can see them.
Okay.
If I drop off a bale of cocaine, average 100 to 120 pounds, that's a substantial amount of money that I want to protect. And based on the road value, I have no problem planting a whole acre of weed just to disguise that 100 pounds of cocaine. And that's what people were doing.
That's really interesting.
Were there to pick up that package that was airdropped and transport it to another location. The weed or cannabis is merely a cover to say, oh, we're only growing weed here. We're not doing anything. We're just growing weed.
Here's the lesser of the two evils. Focus on this one, not this one.
Exactly. So,
well, and it's in place too. So it's like a dog with a bone. Here's the bone, not here's the whole ham over here.
Exactly. So, and that's one of those things where there are unscrupulous people that are freaking trying to get around the thing, but there's no Mexican cartels.
Not for marijuana, anyway.
Rushing over the border trying to get into the weed business because they would make the absolute least money.
That is not, the criminal enterprise runs on the idea of high risk, high reward. Period.
Absolutely. The reward is not high enough in the weed business. And as a person that's been in the weed business, and as a person that's owned their own shop, I will tell you right now, if you want to get rich, okay, if you want to make a bunch of money, don't go into the weed business.
Actually, I was interviewing my friend Josh, and he said that his buddy was hired to do a commercial for a company out of California that was getting set up in CBD. But it wasn't just CBD, it was CBD wholesale. And I'm like, shit, because CBD is the one that's blowing up the most, because it's not like weed. It's like weed light, and people are way more okay with CBD than they are with weed, which is funny because it's all the same plant, but I digress. So he did a commercial for these people who are running the CBD, and they're making hand over fist dollar bills. And that's because as a wholesaler, you're giving out to all these places that are trying to get in on the CBD market, and they're battling it out where you're just supplying. And so he actually invested about $300,000 to just start making hand over fist dollar bills, because he's like, I see what you're doing. You're running it like shit, and I can do it better. So that's what he's doing now. There's money to be made, just not.
Now it's getting better. But probably about 8 months ago, they had a whole shebang with this guy, truck driver Joe, driving this truck, being a legal guy. This guy says, hey, I want you to take a truckload of CBD to this other place. He's like, okay.
You can't do that.
He drives it, like, I think it's in Iowa or something like that. They stopped him. And the police didn't realize that it wasn't weed. And they confiscated that whole entire truckload of CBD.
That's
something
crazy,
like $4 or $5 million worth.
That's crazy.
And there's been a big hubbub because now that small town police department has to reimburse that manufacturer for the value of that CBD, which was a 50-state legal substance that they confiscated and ruined.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Because, well, I guess it depends on if it's CBD over the counter or if it's CBD with THC.
Well, that's the thing.
I mean,
some of it was CBD over the counter, properly packaged. The CBD company properly listed and incorporated. They got business license, you know. They've been in business for like 8 years. Because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, yeah, if I had a truckload of weed and somebody caught me, I'd be like, yeah, that's CBD. Yeah.
Right?
That's not the case.
True. I mean, how does the small department distinguish and test that? But
well, they've been in business for 5+ years. Sure. And the great thing about it is the way that they were shipping their CBD is what they would do is they would have it tested prior to leaving. So when they load it up in the truck, they test it, have it certified as CBD, and put a seal on the container.
Sure.
So nobody gets
you have that information. Yeah.
Exactly. So even when that truck driver showed them all of their information, the police were still like, hey, you need a bag of this, we'll take, because they took this truck driver, Joe truck driver, just like, he's driving a truck, you know.
He's literally carrying a load. He has no control over what that is. That is what he's hired to do, is just drive the truck.
Yeah.
He's a wheel jockey. That's what he do.
They locked him up for like over the weekend. He was on like $150 million bond. Okay? $150 million bond. If you don't want to let me out, just say you don't want to let me out.
If he made the bond, then they'd know he's part of the cartel, because who's got that kind of money?
Exactly. It's like, I saw what they do because they did a news story on it probably about 6 months ago. The dude is like, imagine your truck driving grandpa. That's what this dude looks like.
For sure. That's most truck drivers.
Marijuana.
Right. Not the face, no.
And so it's you know, because that guy was actually able to sue the town and they settled with him already.
Sure,
But the problem is Here's the conundrum. That small town police department, if they pay this huge settlement for this thing, that will basically bankrupt the town for several years. We're talking a town of something like 10,000.
Sure. I mean, how else do you make up for that? I mean, what do? Put it on their insurance and then I mean, they have a legal right to that, which is fair. It's fair.
But here's what's crazy. If they don't pay now, I have to be a company and take them to court. Now, let's say I end up in a state where weed's not legal, bam. Because I think they're already going to be biased because it's like, look here, took off my weed light, my old duels. And yeah, I need that money back.
Well, it's like that New Jersey family who was doing a medicinal marijuana business. They were also a pizza restaurant owning family, and then marijuana got legalized in New Jersey. So what happens with all of that? Because they got their whole lives wrecked. So what liability are they did that New Jersey town just open themselves up to? And they were like, oh, it's this whole police raid. We're going to drag your name through the mud. Like that's like public knowledge now that this is what you did. Even though they were doing everything by the books, now it's legal. So what are you going to do, man?
And see, in some places, that's like, hey, that dude touched my kids. And that's on the front page. And then like 2 weeks later, like on the back page, like, he really didn't touch my kids. So, you know what I'm saying? You're never going to recover from that shit.
Well, he's going to be dead because...
Exactly.
You can't come back from that reputation.
Yeah, it's like, what? And then there's out now. So, yeah, I know he's a freak man because they proved him in court. But was it just some stuff that they didn't have any proof of?
Right. The speculation that happens anyway. That's really interesting because I was just reading about the Ahmad Arbery case and how the quote unquote innocent until proven guilty mofos are trying to line it up, where even though there's video evidence that they did the deed, they're still getting their day in court. And the way that they're trying to suppress information on Ahmad Arbery and his life is like, it's just batshit crazy, dude.
Well, I'll tell you a good movie to watch about a place that we've both lived. Of Kern County. Yeah. It talks about the crooked DA in Kern County, which I've also had experience with, because here's a side story for you. For 14 years, there was a lady that said that I had a kid by her. Yeah. She's like, oh, this guy fucking knocked me up, blah, 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 blah. Come to find out, the lady that was in charge of the paternity testing at the child support place lived behind her. And she was able, for a couple $1,000s, to have her fool with the test results. Really? Absolutely. That's crazy. Now, for 14 years, I had been paying child support because that lady fucked up the paternity test. That's crazy. Here's what's crazy. The only way that it came to light is somehow or another, supposed baby mama pissed this lady off that worked at the paternity office. Oh. Her immunity, she turned her into the police and freaking made a whole testimony about her. That's crazy. So, yeah. So, because me being in Kern County, you know, the Kern County DA and all those freaking people from the child support office, crooked bunch of crooks, by the way. Oh, we know. Somehow or another, they freaking got going. They came after me for child support from this order from a different place, which I was absolutely disputing. But because they had a paternity order, they're like, dude, you're the guy. They're like, you're the guy. I got some paperwork. Yeah. But that's how it works. To find out, in Missouri, there was a whole trial about it, and freaking yeah.
Did you get reimbursed at all?
Oh, that's hilarious that you say that. Absolutely hilarious that you say that.
Man.
Oh, and Kristen, that is hilarious. That is hilarious.
Oh.
But come to find out, because I kept on going into the child support office, be like, this is bullshit, especially since the child support order had a clause in it where it didn't transfer between states because neither I nor supposed baby mama lived in the state where the order was from.
Oh, that's crazy.
So here's what's crazy is I kept on telling these people at the child support office, hey, this is ridiculous. But one of the ladies actually did some research on it. And she coordinated with the child support office in Missouri, and she found out the whole deal.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
And she come out like, Mr. Riley, I'd like to apologize to you. We found out some new information, blah, 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 blah. And it's so crazy that she was able, based on this, she was able to stop my child support immediately. Like right then. Like, stopped it immediately. Typed up a memorandum with the Kern County freaking child support office freaking header and freaking logo, her name and everything, so she could be contacted. Said this child support orders is in error. It shouldn't be. Blah 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 blah. Totally freaking set everything up. Shut it down.
When does that happen, man? Ever? When does that happen?
That's why she gave me so much paperwork, because she said. Because she just started working there. She said, I've heard about you. I've heard that you've been coming in here before talking about this baby's not yours. You're going to need a bunch of paperwork. So she typed me up as much certified stuff as she could to verify this story. So I've got freaking all these letters, certified memorandums and everything. But she was able to stop all the child support, stopped all that stuff and everything, and actually I have a memorandum from the state of Missouri that said this child support order was freaking issued in error and is invalid. Now, that brings it to the
crazy, man. How? Okay.
I actually qualified for my VA benefits. I received a check.
Oh. For
$60,000.
Holy crap.
30 grand of that went to child support.
What? No.
Now, not only had I paid 14 years worth of child support on a baby that was not mine.
Oh, false child support. Holy crap.
They had taken half of my freaking back pay for my VA. So a nice chunk of 30 grand. Keeping in mind that most of the time that this lady had this baby, she was working as a vice president for for Southern Bell, making 3 to 4 times what I was making.
Yeah, dude, that's nuts.
Now, here's the thing. Now they stopped the child support. The child support stopped. I got all my memorandums. Now I start to think about all that cash. I'm like, I went to every lawyer that I could possibly find.
Sure, they told you SOL, but
yeah, the problem is there's no judge in the United States that's going to give me that money back because it, quote unquote, would not be in the best interest of the child and would harm their welfare by taking that much money from their freaking sole provider.
Which is crazy because you know that
Here's the kicker. Do you know $400 in child support per month was paying for?
Yeah, her to get her nails done.
Oh no. Live-in nanny.
Oh.
Making enough money to where that $400 was just paying the last bit for the live-in nanny.
For sure. Live-in nannies are at least like 30 G's a year. Easy. Right. Yeah.
but I can't get that money back because
that would take away from her lifestyle. Oh my Lanta.
So
Ooh.
Yeah, go America.
That's
so, yeah.
Oh.
But here's the thing. If it was reversed, okay, and the mother freaking was the one that was paying the child support, and it was me, dude, they'd have yanked that money from me so fast. They're like, oh, whoosh up.
Yeah.
Which is batshit crazy.
Yeah.
But
there's no accountability for where that money goes. There's no accountability for what it's used for.
When I went to the child support office, they were telling me, oh, we didn't take that money.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the United States government, and they said they absolutely took that money. Here's the ACH transfer number. Kern County Child Support Office has your fucking money. Don't let them tell you any different, because I got the record right here.
Yeah, you know it.
And they were like,
See, here's my thing. If it was illegal, you should be able to go after the agency that did that, but you're not allowed to sue the U.S. government.
Well, here's the problem. I could sue the freaking Kern County Child Support Office.
But
of that being successful? Absolutely none. No. I could sue the individual as an individual.
I feel like you should. You have like all this evidence that says you're a piece of shit.
Absolutely. Because it all boils down to, it doesn't matter what I say or what I do. It doesn't matter what they say or what they do. At the end of the day,
all they care about is
my issue is the welfare of the child.
And I feel like there should be a civil suit for that. Like you should be able to do a civil suit for like libel or something. There's got to be like slander. Like you can sue people for slander.
In the business, I've retained a lawyer, and I've had access to top-notch lawyers. Sure. Freaking, I've even got multi-million-dollar lawyers down from LA telling me, "Hey, bro, you're gonna have to kiss that money goodbye." Because here's the thing. If he's going to work on that case, I got to pay him, okay? And let's say that case does get resolved. By the time I could get resolved, I may or may not freaking have that money plus some more may go into legal fees.
It'd be about the win. It wouldn't be about actually recovering any of your assets.
Absolutely.
At least they're honest with you, though, and they're not just like, sure, we'll do this.
and that's what helped me out, because I had a couple of buddies or a couple of friends that were lawyer friends, and I talked to them. I was like, hey, I got this. And the guy's like, when I started explaining to him, he's like, what? He didn't call me a liar, but he did ask me to bring in some paperwork. So I started laying out all the paperwork to him, and he said, dude, you've got a great case. He's like, let me get back to you. I need to do some research, because his specialty wasn't family law. He talked to a family law specialist. He said,
and then like, where would you try you tried in Missouri where they're like they're trying to repeal abortion laws? I don't think so.
Yeah. And here's the thing. They said, first off, there's no way that the state of Missouri would even be able to come after you for that, simply because the person that the child support goes to was living in a different state. If anything, the child support should go to that state where they are living. Even though they were getting it and sending it on, that shouldn't be a thing.
Right.
That's and especially crazy. When they looked at the income disparity, and I'm kidding you not.
I don't understand that at all, because it shouldn't be. I mean, even with primary custody, with the huge discrepancy in wages, that doesn't make sense.
We're talking 3 to 4 times. Like, okay, picture me. I'm E5 sergeant military. Hey, I'm taking home about $2,600, $2,800 a month.
Right.
This person here is taking down almost 5 digits a month, or a little bit over in some months. But
right.
I only found that out through fucking tax returns. Because let me tell you, there's some years where this individual took down like 4-5. There's one year she took down almost $500,000.
Dude, she didn't need your money. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely. But here I am. They're freaking garnishing all my shit for $400 a month. I'm like, you guys are, that's why the child support offices get shot up on the regular. Shit like that. I'm not saying to do that because that's illegal, and I would never recommend you do that. But what is the why?
You can understand why that may or may not happen.
And don't get me wrong, it's unfortunate, but my lawyer guy, he said, dude, he's like, it's unfair, it's not right, but here's the thing. It's gonna be like some old Oak Island shit. You're gonna go broke trying to get that money.
Right? It's not gonna pay off in the end. Oh, you gotta cut your losses and live with it. That's a hard pill to swallow.
He said it's already gone. You can't, he said all the stuff you could have bought. He's like, it's already gone, bro.
True. That's truth.
He's like, hey, just let it go. Elsa style, let it go.
So how do you feel about the progress of Go Here Smoke This, post all of the business success, post all of this is where your brainchild has come now?
Well, the way I measure the success of Go Here Smoke This is not like I would measure the success in a normal business. Simply because Go Here Smoke This was not designed to be a business. Absolutely not. It wasn't designed to make money. The object, matter of fact, it links money every month.
It's not making money.
The goal and the focus of Go Here Smoke This is twofold. Number one, it's to show anybody and everybody that anybody and everybody can grow and produce marijuana and marijuana products. It's not rocket science. It's absolutely not. I have experience simply because I've done it enough to that I know so many ways not to do it, that the only ways left are the ways that are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here telling you I'm the smartest guy because stuff is always changing.
Sure.
But also to provide a place where people can get good, solid, freaking information on marijuana, its usage and its accessories, its freaking it's because I gotta tell you, a lot of people think marijuana is a cure-all. It's not a cure-all.
No, absolutely not. Even CBD, even the initial scientific research that's finally happening. It's not. It's not.
Like, oh, I got a hangnail. Let me smoke this weed. That's not how it works.
It's gonna make you forget about it though.
We just want to provide this fact-based information to freaking let people know there's a place that they can go to get info about weed, and they can trust it simply because, not because I know what I'm doing and I say I'm so smart, but because over the time you've tested out things that we've shown you and it's come to be true, or we've helped you out in some way, and we want you to, like when I first started out, I would comb the internet for info. And everything was saying the opposite of the last thing. So then it takes me another day to determine by science what is factually cannot happen. Okay. Sure. Because at one point I was looking up plants. This one guy, he says, take household ammonia, 1 capful per day, put that in your plants. It's gonna make them bush out.
No.
Science tells me to absolutely not do that. Okay. But like I said, it's internet. You can write whatever you want.
Plant 101. Don't put ammonia on your plants.
Yes. And then it's, because, and here's the thing. There's a huge growing segment of people in the United States especially that are finding that reefer madness, absolutely untrue, okay? If you smoke weed, it's not going to give you a freaking ear growing out of your nose, okay? Mm-hmm. And that older generation, that quote unquote, that freaking 60 and over generation are finding that marijuana can actually help them, and it's not going to make them lead a life of crime. Okay?
Well, all of the ailments that you're experiencing when you're older that doctors just want to throw medication at, and it's so frustrating. I actually, when I had really great insurance, I used to go to a doctor that was for old people specifically. Like, it was a lot of geriatric care. When I was there, I was the youngest person that was there. Nobody asked you.
Oh, the peanut gallery, the peanut gallery.
But so when I went to that doctor, I had I wanted to get a mole removed. I was like, oh, I'm super overweight. What's going on? And of course they were like diligent and did all the testing. But what I found really crazy was that they were like, oh, well, here's this medication. And I'm like, well, this medication's doing this to me, and that's not really helpful. And they're like, oh, but it's okay. Just keep taking it. It'll be fine. And I'm like, no, okay. So is this how you treat those people out there? Because they've only got like maybe 20 years left in them. I'm hoping to have at least 50.
Well, and the thing, taking it, we'll keep charging your insurance.
What they wanted to do was give me this medication and then give me this other medication that would combat the side effects of the other medication. And then when that medication had problems, then they wanted to put me on another medication. And it's just like, dude, are you really?
They give you a little pharmaceutical double dip there.
Let's go 100 IQ. Let's go 200 IQ here, and let's just stop taking the first one, and then just not have to take the other ones, and then I'll just deal with being fat because I'm cool with that. Being fat is not worth killing my heart for, but according to this doctor, that was cool. You do it, man.
And that's the thing. It goes back to that thing about providing quality information. Sure. Yes, you'll see us, and you're going to see this coming up in the next couple of months. We're getting ready to partner with some people, and you'll see us have discount codes. And all that stuff is to provide you with stuff that the people in our community and the Go Here Smoke This community would use, and to support us bringing you better content. Because like I said, if you want to be rich, the marijuana business is not something you're gonna need to get into.
Unless you want to be an unscrupulous piece of crap, then you're gonna make the money.
Yeah. Yes.
If you have any kind of moral compass, this is not the industry for you.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's all about helping people freaking to help themselves. Because here's the thing. My end goal is not to sell weed to everybody. That's not the case. My end goal is for everybody within the sound of my voice to be able to grow and produce their own weed and weed products.
And to have the information to go into the retail industry that is now booming with the unscrupulous people, and be able to walk away without being fleeced or taken to the cleaner, or to be able to not look at it like the snake oil that it's being perpetuated as now. Marijuana works in very specific ways. And it's like your theory for losing weight. There's only 2 ways to lose weight. You can eat less and exercise more. Okay. Yes. Marijuana only works in very specific ways, and people are going to tell you that if you do all this other stuff, and they're going to warp it and twist it around and turn it into something that it's not. That's not how it works. It is not the cure-all.
Well, one of my main concerns is that it turns into the quote-unquote new aspirin.
Yeah.
Aspirin doesn't cure anything. It doesn't. But aspirin is probably the widest sold over-the-counter medication in the United States. And it's because of habit. When you're like, I'm feeling bad, take 2 aspirin. Well, what are they going to do? Well, they make me feel better. They don't actually do anything, but I feel like I did something because I took 2 aspirin. And
It does help. I mean, they're well, yeah, because I mean, isn't it ibuprofen that's a fever reducer? What does aspirin do?
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people, it has aspirin helps them because it has a psychological effect. Aspirin is mainly designed to reduce inflammation.
Okay.
And
it does do something. Well, isn't it aspirin that treats like one of the sexual transmitted diseases?
I don't think so.
I don't think it's aspirin specifically, but I feel like it's like aspirin on drugs that gets you rid of like you have to take like anyways. I'm pretty sure it's one of the treatable STDs that can be treated with like the super cracked out version of aspirin. But over the counter aspirin.
Show one day on STDs. Yeah. Because in the side story, when I was in the military, I used to have to teach grown men and women about STDs.
Honestly,
yeah.
With all of the information that is out there with STDs, there are still people who do not know enough about STDs.
Well, no, it's only a certain amount of people. And what I mean is, picture this. The person in the military that gets STDs is this person without fail. 18 to 21, okay? Normally it's a dude. I hate to say this, but women are way smarter than dudes. I think that's why you guys live long.
Well, until you think that you're in love with somebody, then you're just dumb as fuck.
Well, here's the thing. You get this 18 to 21-year-old dude. He's been going to freaking, he's been working out every day. He's in the best shape of his life. Jumping out of airplanes, people try to kill him, nothing can kill him. That's having unprotected sex.
Yeah.
Okay? But then I like to show them the picture of people's genitals with STDs.
Yeah.
And then I like to show them what they do in the military is they have this test. It's called, I don't know what regular people call it. It's called the ramrod. What they do is they take a freaking a wooden Q-tip about this long because they need to get a culture to find out what you got.
Oh,
you're going to open up your urethra and ram it down there about 4 inches, twirl it around, and pull it out.
That is the same in civilian hospitals. That is how the STD test is done.
When I show people that, oh man. Well, here's the thing. Whenever I give the class, I always have a bowl of condoms up at the front. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I tell the barracks, I'm like, you guys go up there and get them. Nobody goes up there and gets them until I show them the ramrod video from beginning to end, and then the condoms disappear magically. It's so ridiculous.
Oh, we're all about the information at Go Here Smoke This. It doesn't matter if it's marijuana related or
we're
not.
Here to help the people.
So you said there's some exciting projects coming up, partnering with some new people. I'm sure that everybody who's in the normal, like, private group knows to look out for all of the information that you put out there. We've got the pipes that we're doing with the giveaways. We're trying to get up to the 1,000 people following on YouTube.
Yes, I'm gonna make a short video about that, about that freaking 1,000 YouTube subscriber challenge. But here's the problem. What you guys got to know, I wanted to let you guys know one thing. All the people that are watching, there's a lot of times I forget to mention stuff because I've had traumatic brain injuries. So I actually have dead spots in my brain. So there's sometimes I do forget things. So if you're watching and I forget to mention some, please drop it in the comments because I have sticky notes and dry erase boards everywhere to keep me on track. Aside from Alexa telling me 50 times a day what to do. So just a disclaimer. Freaking the contest and stuff don't go away, but sometimes I forget to mention them. So you got to keep me up to date and keep me reminding them.
True story. Yeah. So what are the goals for the new year?
Well, you know what? Some of the goals for the new year are, first and foremost, I want to emphasize a little bit, a lot of the go here is the Go Here part of the Go Here Smoke This, because of the previous year and the thing, we're just going to call it the thing, because of the thing we've set up with different places to go to actual marijuana production facilities and tour them, but because of the thing, we're on hold. So we have a lot of stuff in the future that we're gonna get out of the studio, get out of the office. We're gonna go and see things. We're gonna go and do things, but we've got to wait till people can be interactive. You know, I got to get 6 foot apart and stuff like that. So it's kind of put us on hold. But look for that this year. Look for us to work with more. We are working with some sponsors. Look for us to increase our sponsor base. Look for us to start putting out some comedic materials, if you will. Fingers crossed on that. Let's hope you guys think it's funny too. And look for more faces to show up on Go Here Smoke This. Well, we have some new faces that are freaking gonna be helping us, and yeah, I think they're gonna bring a lot of stuff to the table. Don't want to say anything just yet. Want to drip feed it out because I want to build the suspense. So, but you're gonna be seeing some changes in the way that we the way that we do things, and hopefully you're also gonna see an increase in the regularity of our broadcast, and you're going to see a more formatted, more polished broadcast in the future that we can bring to you. And that's going to freaking come from some of our collaborations with people that know way more stuff than I do.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. That's where we're at. And you know what? I'm so glad to freaking to be able to do what I can do to freaking spread the word. I'm so glad that I'm in a position to where I can do this, because there's a unique confluence of things that's come together to allow me to be in this situation. And I'm thankful for that, because I've talked to a lot of people that would like to do this, but they can't because of time or whatever. But I appreciate you guys supporting what we're doing. So keep up the good work, because I'm going to keep up the good work in 2021.
And the catchphrase, tell your grandma, and if you don't have a grandma, tell a friend.
Yeah. I am currently designing a t-shirt with a grandma on it.
Nice.
And
this is information for everybody. It's information for people just starting out. It's for information for people who just had weed recreationally legalized in their states, which is up and coming. It's for the older generation who's got arthritis, rheumatism, all that other stuff that weed can help with. And this is a good dip your toes in the pool, see what up.
I want to I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I do want to say a phrase that's going to be important, hopefully coming this year.
Okay.
HST Media.
Nice. I like.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to get off this shabam here.
Okay.
It's been great talking with you and getting some of the behind the scenes with Slizwaq. And then we're going to be having I guess, expose behind the scenes with the other half of Go Here Smoke This.
Yeah. And you know what? If anybody would like to freaking have their story told, get with us. Send us a freaking inbox or a message, because everybody's story is different, and we'd like to hear all of them.
Can a man go eat shit?
That is hilarious.
What is up, yo mofos?
He's coming to us on our YouTube channel, Go Here Smoke This. I appreciate the love spreading across the airwaves.
Awesome.
All right, so this is going to conclude this particular interview or expose.
Right?
This has been Rochel T. We'll see you guys next time. Tell your grandma, and if your grandma's not available, tell a friend. Slizwaq out.